Oh, Jonathan, what a gift that was. So nice to see both of these players, the student versus the master. Who will finally make it on to day 2?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure dozens of movies have been written about this plot. And we get in our very own Pokemon battle here.
Yep.
It should be a fun matchup here. I think it's always nice to get matches where the players know each other a little bit, both because it adds a little excitement to the match, and also it makes the plays a little bit more interesting. They'll probably have a pretty good idea of the type of plays that either of them like to make, which opens you up to making more, I think, exciting plays early in the match.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of times you'll see a game 1 and the players will play a little bit passively as they try to feel each other out. I wouldn't expect that to happen here.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, they know each other. It kind of opens up like, oh, maybe I want to make that big home run play on the first turn.
Yeah.
We saw, for instance, when Aaron Zhang played earlier, and he was against an opponent he played many times. It creates some opportunities I'm hoping the players take advantage of here.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's not the 4th yet, but I am fully expecting to see some fireworks on the stage here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think both of them are players that are capable of it. As they mentioned, they've been kind of trending up in the Pokemon world, but they're still looking for that big breakthrough victory. And if they want to go deep here, they've got to do it right now.
Yeah, and right now we are going to jump right into the first game. Again, this is a best-of-3 set. The winner moves on to day 2 here at Nationals. The loser goes home.
Yeah, and what better stakes to have, right?
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, it's one of the first chances either of them get just to directly eliminate an opponent from the tournament. And you've got to do that, right? If you want to be the last one standing, over 400 people to knock out, and here's one.
Yep, and we are going to see Nicholas Borgi on the top of your screen. Leonard will be at the bottom. Nicholas's team there, Tyranitar, Ludicolo, Salamence, Aegislash, Excadrill, and Conkeldurr, up against Leonard, who is going to be running a Charizard, Conkeldurr, Thundurus, Cresselia, Aegislash, and Landorus. So again, we're seeing the sand from Tyranitar and the sun from Charizard.
Yeah, absolutely. Tyranitar has really made a comeback. It seemed like until 2 months ago, Tyranitar was like a fictional Pokemon. It's like, oh, I remember that, but he was like a dinosaur, right? Like something happened and now it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
We've seen it really coming back hard. It's been a part of a couple popular teams that a lot of players are kind of building around. But one reason why Tyranitar, especially that Tyranitar-Excadrill combination, had become less popular is Landorus Therian, which is on the opposing team here. It's definitely going to be a very important Pokemon to try to deal with here if you're Nicholas. Excadrill, one of the great things about it is, it does pretty good damage by itself. Steel type, now a good attacking type, so it kind of got better. But, still, it's tough to do much when you've got to deal with that Landorus. It's both immune to Earthquake and dealing out those Intimidates. But, it has the advantage that if he does keep control of that weather with that Sandstorm against the Charizard on the other side, Excadrill does get that Sand Rush that allows it to paddle through the sand and move at double speed. Yeah,
definitely. And you're right, Tyranitar is one of those Pokemon we thought had sort of fallen by the wayside at the start of the year, that this might be the only year without Tyranitar, but here it is. Tyranitar and Conkeldurr on the side for Nicholas, up against the Conkeldurr and the Thundurus. And Conkeldurr, one of my favorite Pokemon, I am very happy to see it sort of making an appearance here in the Decider.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that Conkeldurr is another Pokemon like Tyranitar that we just hadn't seen used much, but it was considered like among the best Pokemon 2 years ago in the last similar format we had like this. At the last year of the Black and White games, and it was kind of strange it didn't start coming back, right? We've been seeing a little more defensive Conkeldurr, and usually using items like Citrus Berry now, but still, people remembering it's a pretty good Pokemon.
Yeah, it's pretty good, and you can see both the Conkeldurrs instantly intimidating their opposing side's partner. Thundurus switching out for Cresselia, Tyranitar switching out for Aegislash, and of course, some attacks right away. The Conkeldurrs want to drop their stones on each other. Ice Punch from Nicholas onto Cresselia, Drain Punch from Leonard onto Nicholas's Conkeldurr, dealing a lot more damage. Much more effective move there.
Yeah, Leonard definitely getting the better part of that trade. Also learning, unless it was a tie, but his Conkeldurr is quicker, which is a big deal here because another Drain Punch would knock that Conkeldurr out.
Yeah.
Cresselia coming in to help deal with that Conkeldurr, but wouldn't be too surprised to see it go right back out. It looks like its Conkeldurr buddy has things under control here, and Aegislash is going to be eyeing up that Cresselia looking for an answer KO.
Yeah, definitely don't want to have that Cresselia in alongside, on the opposite side of an Aegislash. Nothing makes the moon go away like a blade.
Yeah, absolutely. And Cresselia is one of those Pokemon where, since it doesn't usually do chunks of damage, it's really only effective. It can be out there safely supporting other Pokemon. None's not safe here, but there really isn't a whole lot of support it can give, so I wouldn't be too surprised to see it switching here also, but it doesn't look like it is.
No, but it does look like Nick's Conkeldurr does not want to stick around anymore. Got the Salamence out on the field for the Intimidate, onto Leonard's Conkeldurr. Of course, that Intimidate really hurts Conkeldurr, which relies a lot on its attack stat. Cresselia goes straight for an attack onto that slot, hits some damage onto Salamence, while Aegislash is going to be able to just go straight on the offensive, switches into the Blade form, launches the Shadow Ball, gets the KO.
But at what cost?
But at what cost indeed. Cresselia is going to fall, but Conkeldurr, what can it do? It can Drain Punch into the Salamence slot and deal a small amount of damage.
Yeah, I mean, huge cost there. I don't know if Nicholas is going to be able to recover from that one. I was kind of expecting with the Psyshock on that slot that he would have gone for the knockoff on Aegislash. I think that's, one of the great things about Conkeldurr is that often you can underspeed that Aegislash, just pop it with knockoff and Blade form. Usually doesn't KO if you're intimidated, but it does get you some great damage and get rid of that dangerous life orb. I think Leonard probably wasn't expecting that life orb. Was thinking as Cresselia would be able to take that Shadow Ball, but again, for yet another match there, we see the power of that life orb Aegislash.
Yeah, but that Conkeldurr is getting some good damage onto Nicholas's side. Salamence and Nicholas's own Conkeldurr are both pretty weak thanks to the onslaught from Conkeldurr. But Leonard is going to switch out his Thundurus now, potentially threatening that Salamence, and of course, Thundurus always exerts pressure on the field.
Yeah, absolutely, nothing wants to get paralyzed here, especially Salamence, though at this point, you'd expect him just to go for an attack if he wants to try to go after Salamence. One of the unfortunate things, I guess, about using Salamence, like you would most Pokemon with Intimidate, say Landorus, is that you want to bring that in, reduce the damage of incoming attacks. But when Salamence is your Mega Pokemon, that comes at a little bit greater risk. You give up a lot more to do so. Salamence doing a good job of kind of controlling the field and keeping that Conkeldurr under control, but a lot of damage to take on your Mega Pokemon, especially if, like a lot of players we've seen today, is using Double Edge in that Salamence, which is going to cause him to incur even more damage if he gets the chance to go on the offensive.
Yeah, and Leonard's not going to sacrifice his Conkeldurr, just going to be okay with sacrificing the Cresselia, no more Pokemon going down. Nicholas will go ahead and Mega Evolve his Salamence, get that powerful threat on the field, and ready to threaten both the Thundurus and the Charizard. We'll go ahead and use the Protect, trying to make sure that it does not get paralyzed by any Thunder Waves coming out from that Thundurus, while Aegislash going to also protect itself so that it does not take any damage. Of course, as we've seen, that Aegislash can still be paralyzed through the King Shield, but of course the Thunder Wave is into the Salamence's Protect. So just a couple of little pieces of chip damage from the sand, but other than that, a pretty non-eventful turn.
Yeah, I mean, not a bad turn for either side, really. Salamence's Protect gets blown, as does Aegislash's, which is a big deal with Charizard coming in here. However, since Salamence isn't paralyzed, it's going to be pretty dangerous for Charizard to go for that attack on Aegislash. I would expect Salamence to try to cover it with a Double Edge here. There isn't much choice but to at least try to force Charizard into using that Fire-type attack on Aegislash, and also forcing it to Mega Evolve so that a Tyranitar can come back in and get control of this weather. It's one of the advantages of getting a lead in a game where you're trying to control the weather, but it's much more difficult to keep your own weather up once you start losing Pokemon.
Yeah, as we saw earlier in the game, or earlier in the day, Leonard will go ahead and Mega Evolve his Charizard, gonna go ahead and clear all of that sand off of the field, bring the sun back out nice and bright and shiny. Frustration coming out from Nicholas's Salamence, dealing good damage to Charizard. Doesn't pick up the KO, though. Charizard just barely hanging on. Is going to be able to launch the Overheat in the sun onto Aegislash, connects with the Aegislash, and will pick up the KO. Drops its special attack, but, that's worth it to get that Aegislash off the field. And now Thundurus. Thundurus up against the Salamence. A Thunderbolt may not be enough against this new Mega Evolved Salamence, but does pick it up. So that's 2 KOs for Leonard, and he still has the sun on the field.
Yeah, and he's likely to keep the sun on the field here, too. He does have the option now of going for a switch and maintaining the sun. Tyranitar will come here and flip it, but Charizard can get the last laugh if he wants it with 3 Pokemon remaining on his side.
Yeah, and we do see Nicholas's own Conkeldurr from the start still weak from Leonard's first Conkeldurr's attack on it. So really in both a Pokemon disadvantage and an HP disadvantage here.
Yeah, a big bind. Thunder is probably going to try to look for ways to get rid of his Conkeldurr here. Tyranitar a big threat to both of these Pokemon, especially with this sand up, but there's no Excadrill of this game to really try to abuse that sand and get some knockouts here, and that puts Leonard in a pretty good position. He does need to be careful with Charizard. Conkeldurr often carries Mach Punch, and he definitely doesn't want to give that Charizard up too easily here, if only because losing that Charizard would cause any Rock Slides from Tyranitar to not be reduced by dealing with 2 targets and instead do a much larger chunk of damage to Thundurus.
Yeah, and Leonard does still have his own Conkeldurr in the back here, so probably not too worried about it, but the Charizard will avoid Rock Slide. Rock Slide is pretty bad for Charizard, but not if it doesn't hit. will connect with the Thunderous, going to heal off a little bit of that damage with the Citrus Berry, but that miss is huge. Charizard with another overheat onto the Conkeldurr. It's got a reduced special attack, but will it be able to pick up the KO here? Yes! Conkeldurr will go down. Charizard not going to be dealing much damage for the rest of the game, but this game looks like it's already over.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a huge overheat miss. It costs Nicholas his Conkeldurr, which, I mean, while it might not have been doing huge things for this battle, every Pokemon counts, and oh, that one hurts.
That stings.
Especially because he gives up his item now. Now, Leonard will know for the rest of his series, this Tyranitar has Choice Scarf. I need to prioritize Thunder Waving it and not expose my Charizard like that again. Best of 3 like this, if your opponent doesn't know a Choice Scarf, you typically get 1 free KO with it, unless they can have a position where they can play very safely, and he didn't get that KO this time.
Yep, definitely not. Leonard will get the paralysis onto Nicholas's Tyranitar. Tyranitar is paralyzed. I mean, you can see the shrug there. Tyranitar is not going to be dealing a whole lot of damage for the rest of this game anyway with Conkeldurr in the back. It's just a matter of Charizard or Thunderous going down and Conkeldurr coming out on the field at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And, regardless of what happened here, it would have been a good chance for Leonard's Conkeldurr to finish this one out. But, boy, Thunderous and Charizard pretty much had this one under control.
Yep. The only thing they couldn't do is finally pick up that KO. So here comes Conkeldurr, here to clean up Thunderous and Charizard's mess. Paralyzed Scarf Tyranitar locked into Rock Slide up against a Conkeldurr. If you're Nicholas, you're thinking about Game 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Conkeldurr's got that sneaky grin on, and I would too against that situation.
Oh, a critical hit from Thunderous, but Drain Punch will finish off Tyranitar. So Leonard will take Game 1. We're moving into Game 2 now. Nicholas going to have to make some adjustments if he wants to come back.
Absolutely, and we get the thumbs up there. I mean, he's feeling fine, but tough game to lose. Very close match, though. I think, had Tyranitar not missed that Rock Slide, I don't know if it actually changes the result of the match, especially with that juicy Tyranitar there for the opposing Conkeldurr to drain health from.
Yeah.
But certainly, I think it becomes a much closer game, and I think that more accurately represents that match. I could easily have gone either way, but Leonard just a little bit ahead there, and now the student is a game away from being eliminated by the master.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why he's the master, right? He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, I'd hope so for both of their sakes, right? Otherwise, who did I learn from,
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of don't want to beat your master because then you're like, well, I mean, I could have been learning from someone better.
Well, I mean, at that point, it's time to move on to the next tutor, right?
That's
but
true.
For now, if I was Nicholas, I'd probably want to, secure my second day at Nationals first.
Yes.
Worry about my tutor later.
Yeah, exactly. And we are going to hop right into Game 2. Again, for Nicholas, he needs to win this game and the next game to make it to Day 2 of Nationals. For Leonard, this could be the decider. One more win for Leonard, and he goes on to Day 2. Nicholas needs 2 more.
Yeah, absolutely. And, this is a tough situation to be in. In Nicholas's case, that you're a game away from being eliminated, and this adds a ton of stress.
Yeah, but it looks like both players know exactly what they want to do. They're spending very little time on that team preview. So we're going to hop right into this. The first turn of Game 2 here of this best-of-3 set. Nicholas, again, at the top of your screen. Leonard at the bottom. Leonard will lead the Charizard and Thunderous up against Nicholas with the Ludicolo and the Aegislash. And it looks like Leonard knew what was happening.
Yeah, it's a very different lead by both sides here, but you have to prefer Leonard's position here. Charizard staring down that Aegislash. Ludicolo can have a hard time doing too much to it unless Tyranitar comes in after a Mega Evolution. So even this turn, not going to be able to get too much done there. Really a great starting position for Leonard. Even a Thunder Wave could be a big deal on either of these Pokemon. But Aegislash really doesn't want to get caught out in Blade form without having been able to get an attack off to get there. Nice start.
Strong leads for Leonard. Strong Pokemon on the field. Mega Charizard now brings the sun back onto the field. Going to make sure that Ludicolo isn't going to be able to deal that much damage with its water-type attacks. And still can exert that fake-out pressure and chooses to do so against the Charizard. But Taunt comes out from Thunderous onto the Aegislash. Doesn't want Aegislash to be able to use that King Shield or a substitute at all. Switches right to the Blade form. Shadow Ball, just trying to get as much damage out as possible right now. Identifying that Mega Charizard as a threat. The Shadow Ball deals some good damage there, but Aegislash now unable to use its King Shield, a little vulnerable.
Yeah, absolutely. Typically when you think of Taunt, you think of shutting down more defensive Pokemon like Cresselia, or Togekiss or Clefairy or something, but actually a huge problem for Aegis Slash as well. You know, it's one of those Pokemon that has its unique trick of going back from its Blade form and its Shield form, and while it's taunted, it can't do that anymore. It's just Blade Aegis Slash. If Aegis Slash didn't have stance change and was just Blade Aegis Slash, no one would use it. It would not be a good Pokemon. So, you know, losing that ability really hurts it. I wouldn't be surprised to see it switch out here, unless he wants to be very daring, which would be really hard to do down 1-0 in a series that can eliminate you.
Yeah, that's very daring indeed. Mega Charizard will retreat, though, in favor of Conkeldurr. It looks like Nicholas did dare, in fact, keeps the Aegislash in. Thunder Wave from that Thundurus onto the Ludicolo. You can see it's now dancing in slow motion. Ice Beam comes out, though, onto the Thundurus, going to deal a good amount of damage there. Not quite half HP. That could be huge with the Shadow Ball from Aegislash, but it will target the Conkeldurr instead, dealing a lot of damage. May have been able to pick up the KO on that Thundurus since it didn't get to proc that Citrus Berry.
Yeah, I think it would have, but still getting that damage on Conkeldurr is a big deal with what we saw in the last game. I love that play by Nicholas, though. You know, we said he had to dare, bold. But you know, he who dares wins. It was a really great play. Kind of, you know, again, the players are familiar with each other. He knows that Leonard expects him to make a switch in that dangerous situation. Sometimes you've got to make those plays, you know, to get inside your opponent's head, realize those times you can, you know, kind of take some cheap damage that maybe you weren't in position to earn, and it's a huge deal. Not only does he keep Aegislash out there an extra turn, which kind of complicates this for Leonard a little bit, but he does a giant chunk of Conkeldurr's health. Just have to be careful now not to get something like Tyranitar Drain Punch and give all that health right back.
Yeah, exactly. Conkeldurr isn't going to let itself take any more damage. Goes for the Detect. Nicholas just playing around with fire, leaving that Aegislash in. Now both Pokemon are paralyzed, and that's going to be very dangerous. Shadow Ball will come out this time, though. No full paralysis. Will be able to pick up the KO on Thundurus, and a critical hit, just gravy on top of that one. So Ludicolo up against a detected Conkeldurr. Nothing else going to happen here on the rest of this turn. Really unfortunate for Leonard there.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunate, but I mean, the crit didn't matter, right? He was going to get that knockout because of the Life Orb anyway. And Nicholas is playing circles around his master this game.
Yeah.
He's learned from that first defeat, and he's got a big edge now.
Looks like an entirely different player this game.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, some players, when they're back against the wall, they get a lot better, and Nicholas is going to be a tough out in this tournament. You know, he gets that Aegislash out of the taunt situation, so he can King Shield now. He can potentially use Wide Guard if Charizard has Heat Wave, and he ends up needing to be concerned about that. There's also the option now, if Tyranitar's in the back, to try to bring that in and give Ludicolo a chance to get a bigger Scald out and not be to deal with the balmy weather on the field and the reduction to Scald that causes.
Well, Charizard's just trying to blow something up with the Overheat. Will be able to finally take down that Aegislash. That Blade form Aegislash has been sticking around on the field for way too long. It should never have lasted that long, but it finally goes down. Leonard picking that KO up. Conkeldurr goes for the Ice Punch, though, onto Ludicolo, trying to predict some sort of switch here. Finally gets a full paralysis, though, so just picks up the KO onto the Aegislash and a little bit of chip damage onto that Ludicolo. And now Salamence out on the field. Leonard really hoping to catch that Salamence a little earlier.
Yeah, absolutely, but very wise by Nicholas not to take that risk. I'm sure that's some of why he was leaving the Aegislash in there. You know, in addition to realizing he could get away with it for what seemed like an outrageously long time. You don't want to risk a more important Pokemon. Both Salamence and if Tyranitar is the last Pokemon are very important in this matchup and also could be demolished by switching into the wrong attack. So sometimes, you know, it's worth it just to sacrifice a Pokemon if you have to. Aegislash, though, certainly got done a lot more than I thought it would there. Perhaps Nicholas not realizing that while you can no longer use defensive moves when you're taunted, you can switch, but worked out pretty well for him there.
Yeah, no, Nicholas's Aegislash knew it. It didn't want to run away. It was taunted, and it was going to make sure that Leonard knew you don't taunt Aegislash. Mega Salamence now on the field for Nicholas. Going to be able to just use that Mega Protect turn 1. Sticking on the field, make sure it gets the stat boost from the Mega Evolution for next turn. A Protect from the Charizard, so both Megas are protecting. Conkeldurr's Ice Punch into the Salamence slot, while Ludicolo scalds the Conkeldurr. Really would have liked to see Conkeldurr try and get some of that HP back. Gets burned, but activates the Lumberry. So Conkeldurr still back on the field. Sun fades, though, so I didn't quite catch that damage amount, but without the Sun on the field now, Conkeldurr may be in Scald KO range.
It's going to be close either way, I think. But yeah, also see the Lumberry and Conkeldurr. That's something we see too often, but seeing this is not one of those Guts Conkeldurr most likely. Or if it is, it's the most confused Guts Conkeldurr I've ever seen.
was so powerful and then it got weak again. What happened?
With great power, sometimes you just have to tone it down a little bit.
Just take a step back. Speaking of taking a step back, Charizard retreating back to its Pokeball, and Landorus, the final Pokemon for Leonard, switching out on the field. Of course, Landorus, a Pokemon we've seen quite a bit of over the course of not just this tournament, but the season. Getting the Intimidate onto both the Salamence and the Ludicolo. Detect comes out from Conkeldurr again. Frustration from Salamence onto the Landorus. Going to deal some damage back. A little bit, about half. Another Scald into the Conkeldurr Protect. But now Landorus out against Ludicolo and Salamence. And this might be a situation where you just let Landorus do what Landorus does best.
Yeah, what Landorus does best is throw rocks and just hope.
Yep.
I don't know about that play, though. Conkeldurr, I mean, I assume that, like you, Leonard was assuming that Conkeldurr would be knocked out by a Scald and just wasn't worth it there, which could be fair, but you figure that with Salamence having chosen not to knock out Conkeldurr previously, it was that Charizard it was more concerned about.
Yeah.
And Landorus now in a position where could be knocked out by a return this turn. And,
real close.
Yeah, I mean, if they return the same damage as last turn, it would get it. So a dangerous spot for Landorus now. It definitely reduces the opportunities it's going to get to throw rocks, but Salamence protecting itself for now.
Yeah, Salamence protecting, but Ludicolo does not have the same luxury. Rocks will hit Ludicolo, and it's also paralyzed. This could be bad news for Nicholas. Conkeldurr will be able to get the Drain Punch off, heal back a little bit of that damage. Will pick up the KO on Ludicolo, so it doesn't even matter that the rocks were thrown. Ludicolo didn't even have a chance to flinch or get paralyzed.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know, I don't think Nicholas is going to take any solace in that one, but
no.
It does get him a free switch. This is somewhat less concerned about flinches now.
Yeah.
But we saw in the previous game that the Conkeldurr on the side of Leonard is quicker. So a flinch now on Salamence and an Ice Punch could close this game out. Certainly put Conkeldurr in a situation where it's absolutely got to be a hero. So I mean, very important for Salamence this turn not to flinch. Not that there's a whole lot that Nicholas can do to make that happen or not. But that's what happens when you're down to series like this, right? You got to roll some dice.
Yep, and that's what happens when Landorus is on the field. Rock Slide connects to both Pokemon. Salamence takes a little bit of damage. Conkeldurr takes even less. Salamence will get this frustration off. Is it going to be enough? Onto Conkeldurr, picks up the KO. Conkeldurr goes down, and now Nicholas's own Conkeldurr. Will it be able to attack through? Yes, the Ice Punch connects to Leonard's Landorus, picks up the KO there, and now I believe it's just Charizard in the back up against Salamence and Conkeldurr. Looks like Nicholas has taken it back, and we're going to have a series.
Yeah, a couple of really great plays by Nicholas this game, and we are most likely going on to a Game 3 here as the quicker Salamence staring down at a juicy, weaker Charizard.
Yeah, Charizard, it's going to be baking under the sun right now. And under the pressure of Salamence and Conkeldurr up against it. And, you know, really well played by Nicholas to come back from that first game, because he really looked like a different player this game. Really made sure that Leonard was always reacting to him. Picks up the KO there, and now we're moving to Game 3.
Yeah, absolutely. I think especially the way that happened makes it even more impressive. He didn't win Team Preview.
No.
You know, I think that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Typically, the player who gets the advantage out of Team Preview is much, much more likely to win. This makes the game so much easier because you start out with that improved board position. That didn't happen for him here. He definitely lost the first turn in the sense that he was way behind at the beginning of the game, but he switched to a better position. He made a bunch of reads that Leonard wasn't expecting and took over that game from, you know, point after Team Preview on, he was flawless.
Yeah, and we're going to hop into Game 3. Remember, this Game 3 will decide which one of these players moves on to Day 2 and which player goes home with nothing. Well, not quite nothing, but does not get to play Day 2. So we're going to hop right into this third game, and you know, it's been such a back and forth set. How do you even make an adjustment here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a level here, but I think both players are probably thinking, you know, I just play the way I did in the game I won, and I'll be fine. But it's a tough game for Leonard in particular, I think. I'm almost always, I think as a player, in a Game 3, I would prefer to be the one who won Game 2. You can carry that momentum forward.
Oh, yeah.
But especially the way that Leonard lost it, where like that Aegislash just sitting there taunting him while being taunted.
Yeah. And
you're getting those attacks off. You know, it's going to be really frustrating when you get in a position like that. You think you have control, and you just keep making the wrong read. And it shakes your confidence a little bit going into a game like this, and you need your confidence. You have to, in a game like this, you know, both sides will need to make one or two big plays at least to take this third game and move on to tomorrow.
Yeah.
So Leonard's just going to shake this one off, just like Nicholas did, and show that, you know, yes, you can say he taught Nicholas how to play Pokemon some, but Nicholas might have to show Leonard here how you recover from a losing game, because that was quite impressive.
Very impressive indeed. Here we go. Game 3. Nicholas on the top of your screen. Leonard on the bottom. Again, the winner of this match will move on to day 2 tomorrow, and the loser will not. So all of the marbles on the line here. Leonard chooses to go with Charizard and Aegislash up against Nicholas's Tyranitar and Salamence. So at the start, a weather advantage for Nicholas, but that's pretty easily eliminated by the Charizard Mega Evolving. And then having Salamence on the field already as well. So both of the power hitters for both of these players already out on the field.
Absolutely. Aegislash most likely in a nice position here, though. You think about Tyranitar as a Dark-type Pokemon being pretty good against Aegislash, but it's not really that true. Most Tyranitar don't even use a Dark-type attack anymore. All we saw so far from this Tyranitar is Choice Scarf and Rock Slide, so it could be kind of one of the variants we saw last year, where it often had Rock Slide but was otherwise special.
Yeah.
If it isn't, it's kind of a tough spot here. Charizard realizes after the first game that it's not as safe as it thinks it is, and probably isn't just going to let Tyranitar pop it with a rock move. And Aegislash is in great position to do some damage. The only move Salamence typically carries that does much damage to Aegislash is Fire Blast, which is usually reduced in damage due to Salamence tending to use a mostly physical build, or Earthquake, which is a questionable decision with a Tyranitar on the field. So a pretty safe side for Aegislash. Charizard realizing it's in trouble and giving out.
Yeah, Charizard does not want to stick around at all, and Cresselia is out on the field. Game 1, Cresselia didn't do all that much, but that also was the game that Leonard won. So Cresselia now on the field up against a Mega Evolved Salamence and Tyranitar for Nicholas. We're going to see Salamence immediately protect just so that it does not take any damage, just trying to scout a little bit out on this turn 1. Same for Leonard, King Shield from the Aegislash, trying to see what that Tyranitar will lock itself into, and it will lock itself into Rock Slide, and Cresselia will avoid, so only thing happening here is a little bit of sand damage.
Yeah, absolutely. The Rock Slides just haven't been getting it done this series.
No.
So, see an awful lot of matches this year where it seems like it hits and flinches every time, but not this one.
Yeah, used up all the Rock Slide luck a little bit earlier in the season.
Yeah, Aegislash is looking good, though, and so is Leonard because of that. Salamence Protect is blown. Cresselia is out threatening an Ice-type attack on it. Aegislash can do big chunks to either of these Pokemon, and they would both likely have trouble doing damage back. A little bit surprised to see Salamence protecting there. I feel like an attack on Tyranitar was the most likely thing for Aegislash to do there, so kind of burning a free turn.
Yeah, and Tyranitar will immediately run away from Leonard's Aegislash in favor of his own. Cresselia takes some damage from the frustration and the Rocky Helmet, but Icy Wind going to deal good damage to Salamence, but more importantly, slow it down. Same for Nicholas's Aegislash. It could end up being pretty big. We'll have to see if Leonard is going to be able to pick up a KO here or just deal some good damage. Blade Form is out for Aegislash. Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball, who is it going to connect to? Oh, the Salamence. Almost a great read, but still picks up the KO on the Salamence. That's a Mega down. And, Game 3, you don't lose your Mega that easily.
Absolutely not. I mean, I think I would rather have the knockout on Salamence there. A little bit strange play on Nick's side to not just return Cresselia switching in the first time, and then the second return would have knocked it out. This would never have happened. It's kind of those things that just adds up, right? When you make one bad read, it puts you in a worse situation, and then puts him in an even tougher spot. With Tyranitar coming in here, I'm a little bit surprised not to have seen that last turn. I think that would have been a pretty safe switch, but, what are you going to do? It happened already. You just kind of have to live with it and try to figure out a way out of a situation. Tyranitar not in a bad spot, but I don't know. Still has the same issue where if it doesn't have a Dark-type attack, which it seems like it did when it was here earlier in the battle.
If it does, it'll be ecstatic. It's up against the Cresselia and an Aegislash, but, I mean, you're right. It ran away. Aegislash is going to just go ahead and scout it out again. Shield form, Aegislash, King Shield out for it. We're going to have to see if Tyranitar can make anything happen for Nick. Of course, his Aegislash also going to protect, so it's just going to come down to this Tyranitar and see if Cresselia will be able to do anything. So Ice Beam for Tyranitar into the Cresselia. Cresselia is standing its ground, not going to let Tyranitar get any free damage off. Will get an Icy Wind off as well, which we already know that this Tyranitar has Scarf, so getting that speed drop is really important. Basically negates the effect of Tyranitar having an item.
Yeah, absolutely. It's strange that we do see that Ice Beam, so it makes it more likely that it is, well, it's clearly mixed, and that it may have that Dark-type attack, so I don't know. I'm clearly
trying to make the big plays.
Yeah, there's clearly a different level of threat exerted by this Aegislash to Nicholas, and what I'm feeling like is a problem here. But however, with that Icy Wind, his Aegislash is also slower, so a quick Shadow Ball here onto the Aegislash slot. Could clean it up, but he doesn't want to. He's out.
Yep, Aegislash runs away. Conkeldurr out on the field now. Of course, Conkeldurr, you usually don't want to see Conkeldurr switch into a Cresselia and an Aegislash. But the Ice Beam, again, with that critical hit before, will be able to pick up the KO onto Cresselia. So now Aegislash switching into the Blade form. Is it going to be able to pick up a KO here, either on that Tyranitar or just deal some damage to the Conkeldurr? Is going to target down the Conkeldurr with the Shadow Ball. A lot of damage thanks to that Life Orb. Conkeldurr taking a whole mess of damage there too, especially with the sand. That adds up real quick.
Absolutely, and probably getting the answer to why Charizard or Salamence didn't switch out earlier in the game. Since Tyranitar had been out that turn, Conkeldurr would have been the only switch in.
Yeah.
And, not dealing with those special attacks very well. They're much stronger on the physical defensive side.
And Charizard now out on the field for Leonard. You got to feel good about it, about Charizard's position if you're Leonard.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about how Choice Scarf Tyranitar makes this matchup different, but with that Icy Wind, Charizard gets the advantage you expect Charizard to have back.
Yeah.
Also, Aegislash able to do some great damage to it, so it's going to take some really clever plays by Nicholas here, hitting Protects at the right time to have a chance at this one.
Not just hitting Protects, but also just making good switches and making sure that he does not take any more damage. Nick cannot afford to take more damage right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be tough to avoid with how weak some of these Pokemon are. They're not going to switch in well.
Yeah, Charizard is going to Mega Evolve right away, clear out that sand, make sure that Tyranitar is taking as much damage as possible. Drought on the field, the sun is shining. Charizard's Heat Wave, no Protects, going to hit both Pokemon. Conkeldurr will go down. Tyranitar is going to take a little bit of damage. And of course, Aegislash did not switch back to its shield form as well. And Tyranitar locked into that Ice Beam onto the Charizard slot. I mean, some damage, but you really want to be in your Rock Slide mode for your Tyranitar. Aegislash dealing a little bit of damage with the Shadow Ball. Deals good damage, and Tyranitar locked into Ice Beam now up against Charizard and Aegislash. It can't do anything.
Yeah, it almost may as well not be here. Another Shadow Ball should knock it out, but in the meantime, who cares, right?
Right.
Charizard now pinning the enemy Aegislash at the threat of its Fire-type attacks, and this one could be all over from Nicholas. We saw a really, really great game 2 for him, but Leonard really clamped it down in both the first and third game here, and Nicholas' tournament life could be short.
Yeah, it may just come down to Heat Waves on Charizard's side. Nicholas trying to protect his Aegislash as much as possible. Overheat into the slot. Not going to deal any damage because of King Shield. Ice Beam. Really hoping to get maybe a freeze and some crits. Not going to happen though. Aegislash Shadow Ball into Tyranitar, going to pick up the KO, and now it's just Aegislash up against the Charizard and Leonard's own Aegislash. And it can King Shield as much as it wants. That's not going to win it the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Problem for Aegislash here is it can only target one Pokemon at a time, and both of its opponents are capable of knocking it out in a single hit.
Yep.
So unless Aegislash invents a new move, perhaps Teeter Dance, going to be in a tough spot here.
I would watch a dancing Aegislash. I think that would be great. We need a move tutor.
It would put an absolutely new spin on Swords Dance, right?
Exactly. Last move. Leonard going to move on now. Probably take out this KO for Aegislash. Move on to day 2. Nicholas just seeing his tournament life flash before his eyes. Overheat connecting. So much damage. Way too much damage onto the Aegislash. Super effective. Aegislash faints. Leonard wins, and Leonard is moving on to day 2.
Yeah, I'm going to feel good for him, right? First time in the Nationals top cut. He's worked for a long time to try to get to this point, and he'll get to show everyone what he can do tomorrow. He's only a few more wins now from moving on to becoming one of the top players in the country.